Nope, 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 not what you're thinking. No one harmed this little baby buck. But during archery season, I did harvest a doe, and I'm going to show you how I process my own meat. Instead of taking your deer to the processor next time, give it a try and process your own. See how it goes. So we got the two back legs, we got the front legs, the back strap, the two back legs, front legs, back strap. There we go. So let's get started. Take one of these. What I like to do here is rinse it real good because you're going to have hair on this and maybe a little dirt, but you want to get all that off so none of it ends up in your meat. So give it a good rinse, and then I'm going to start cutting all the meat off this front shoulder here. Some guys would like to take this whole shoulder and just roast the whole thing in the crock pot. Just cut the lower shank off and it'll fit right in the crock pot and just cook the whole thing together. And I've tried it, it's pretty good. There's not a lot of meat on the front shoulder, so I'm just going to clean it off real good and get all the nice meat off, and I'm going to grind the whole thing. This is what I'm after right here: clean meat with no silver skin and no membrane. So I'm just going to take my time here and work all this meat off the bone. There's probably about 3 pounds of clean meat on this shoulder. If you take your time and just work it all off and cut all this stuff off here that you don't want to eat, and you're going to end up like this. So I'm grinding most of this deer up to make burger, but on this ham, you got all your roasts on here. You got your top round and your tri-tip and all the good cuts here. So basically all I got to do is just follow the membrane, the silver skin, and pull the muscle groups apart, and then you'll have your individual roasts. So I'm not a butcher, I can't name all the roasts, but I mean all the different muscle groups. But like this big one right here, this is your round roast, and once you pull the silver skin, you can just separate this and pull that roast off there. This is a good piece of meat. It's usually pretty tender. So now I'm just going to keep working all these muscle groups off here until I get right down to the bone. There's no meat left on this thing. What I want is clean meat with nothing else on it, because if I don't want to eat it, I'm not going to throw it in and grind it up with my burger. I just want pure clean meat, none of this, and this membrane and this fat. Deer fat is definitely not tasty. So it's just to get it all off here. This whole process for the whole deer usually take me about 3 hours. Now I do have some help. My son's going to help me here with a little bit of this, but 3.5 hours packaging and grinding the whole thing finished from start to finish. It's not bad. So this is right here is why you want to cut all the fat and all the membrane off, because hidden in here are these lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are made to store all the toxins in the body. You put this in your hamburger and it's definitely going to taste like garbage. My opinion about sending this out to be processed is I don't know if the processor's going to take all this time to be extra careful to get everything off the meat. I think they're in a hurry because they're doing so many deer and trying to make money that most of it just goes right into your burger. This is the product I'm looking for: nice clean meat with no garbage in it. And then all the silver skin and fat, this won't go to waste. This is going to get ground up and fed to the dogs. The back strap, I'm definitely going to take and make some steaks out of it. To know if your back strap's going to be tender, just cut a piece off and cook it. If it's nice and tender, then make steaks out of the rest of it. You just want to take all this silver skin and membrane off, and this is a nice clean piece of meat. Then what I like to do is take and cut against the grain, across the grain. Usually the back strap, the grain runs long ways, but I like to cut across the grain this way. And you end up with some beautiful little steaks here. They're nice and tender, and you can grill them, bake them, fry them, cook them any way you like. This is my 1/2 horsepower grinder I bought from LEM Products. They're kind of expensive. You don't need this. You could use a hand grinder, which are a lot less, but I use this thing all the time. So what I'm grinding right here is the dog food. You can see all the fat and all the membrane that's coming through, but the dogs love this. I don't feed it to them raw. I'll cook it for them, and it's good for them. It's better than what's in commercial grade dog food, that's for sure. It's just pure protein and fat, natural fat. This is the final product, the human grade hamburgers, not for dogs. There's no beef fat added or pork fat. I like it just the way it is. Some people like to add like 25% or 20% pork fat, but I think it defeats the purpose of having organic meat if you put farm raised fat in your meat. I use a little olive oil to supplement the fat. I happen to have a full-size commercial chamber vacuum sealer, which is way overkill for what I'm doing here. One of those food savers would be just plenty. You don't need all this. I vacuum seal all my meat, fish and burger and deer meat and anything else that I bought at the grocery that I have too much of. The vacuum seal seems to last a pretty long time. They make rolls that you can put your hamburger in, and they're plastic sheath, and you pack it in there real tight and then crimp it. That's a pretty good way too. That's the way most commercial deer processors will give you your meat back, which is fine. I've had it that way. I've used those. They work great. I've actually pulled deer meat out of the freezer that was 3 years old that had been vacuum sealed, and it was perfectly fine. One thing I do notice is sometimes when you're rough handling it, or for some reason the vacuum breaks and you see some ice forming inside the bag, I will go ahead and take that right out and eat it right away. But the next thing I do is I'll flatten these out. That way when I put them in the freezer, they stack real nice right on top of each other and take up very little room. Well, if you liked this video and you found it helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other hunting and fishing videos. Thanks for watching.